right, let's see.
Out in the world.
Out in this world, yeah, for sure. Okay, so looks like we're just gonna go ahead and get started. So we're live right now, broadcasting from Wholesale Hotline, episode number 72, apparently. And I have here with me Preston from North Dakota. And we are here to talk about all great things real estate, I suppose. So go ahead and we'll get started with a little bit about me. My name's Janelle Anderson. I am in Arizona right now from Montana originally. Just kind of here for Brent, Jamil, and Pace's Wholesale Hotline pre-show. Want to get started with this, and it's kind of beautiful out here. It rained yesterday, which was nice. Had a great 4th of July. It was my daughter's 20th birthday, so that was fun.
Nice.
Did you do anything special?
You know, I've been grinding pretty hard in the wholesale business. So honestly, we grilled, ate food, watched a TV show, and just bummed around, and it was beautiful. Yeah, we really did not do much, which was good. I honestly even fell asleep before the fireworks. How lame is that?
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Did you guys have fireworks down there?
Yeah, so I drove over to a place called Fountain Hills.
Okay.
If you look it up, they have like the tallest water stream or whatever. My daughter and I were looking at it like, dang, we want to take some photos. It's so beautiful. But
sure,
there was thousands of people there. I mean, like it was covered, and I actually recorded the whole thing. It was about 23 minutes long.
Nice.
And the finale was amazing, I have to say.
Cool.
I used to put on my own shows on the water.
What?
Yeah, I did. I used to go get freaking U-Hauls and buy the plywood and go to the Indian reservations and then just light them all up.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so this was a change of pace, but it was fun. So
yeah, sure.
Definitely. So tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Yeah, so I think I heard Matt Beard say one time, he said, I do real estate things. And so I feel like that's probably the best description. But no, I'm a wholesaler, a flipper, and a landlord. And so I'm in North Dakota, Minnesota, South Dakota. Those are my primary markets. And so I started doing real estate back in 2013. But I wasn't doing it. I just did it kind of the DIY way. You know, we bought a house off the MLS. House did not need to be fixed up. And my story is I was just a farm kid, and I figured, oh, this is just hard work. And I was tearing out a kitchen, building kitchen cabinets, doing the electrical. And it was about a year of nights and weekends. I didn't make any money. We broke even. And was like, wow, that sucked. And I learned, it was justification to buy tools is all that it really was. And so then we ended up buying a house literally across the street. And that house, I still own to this day. It's in my portfolio. It makes me like $700-800 a month. The mortgage payment was $400 a month. And I still did a significant amount of work on that house myself. And that was on a TV show. And that was kind of an episode. I'm not cool like Pace and get a whole like series, but it was just one episode. But that was kind of my start. And now I've been full-time for about 2.5 years. And so just playing a lot different games. And no, I'm not building cabinets myself anymore. I'm trying to do the highest and most value income things of talking to sellers and building a business and scaling and kind of all the things that these guys talk about that try to implement and they work. It's just a different way and a different model of doing it though. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So how long do you think that how long has it been since you've had a VA?
So gosh, what is it? It's been, I think, a little over a month, maybe a month and a half. I should have looked before I jumped on here, but I've had May for probably a month and a half.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. And is she the only one that you have right now?
She is, yeah. So I have May, and then Fido is our CSM. So I have May as the cold caller, but Fido is the CSM. the CSM is kind of what sealed the deal for me specifically. So yeah, I have those two.
That's awesome. Okay. So how was it before you got your VA?
So be more specific. How was what before?
So when did you know that you were going to need a VA?
So just spent a lot, so leads, right? So where do leads come from? And I was a direct mail guy. I still am a direct mail guy. And that works well in my market. There's just not a lot out here for doing that. And so, but I wanted some consistency and some other tasks to be built into it. And so, I was just on the phone with the seller and doing pre-qualify, and just started thinking through like, man, if I could just be talking to qualified sellers all day, that's where I need to spend my time. And this whole pre-qualify task, I need to move on from and graduate myself from. So I think it was just kind of the writing on the wall of all the labor that was involved in pre-qualifying a seller that was like, this is ridiculous. Yeah.
Okay, so Zachary Hamilton says, so were you hand jamming before that? Not really sure what he means.
I'm not either. I need some help on that one.
Well, what do you mean, Zachary?
I think he means, was I cold calling myself? Is that what you mean, Zachary?
€1 says, let's squat up Minnesota. Yeah, right? Like the cold
Let's
states.
go, seriously. 701-330-5964. That's my personal cell. I'd love to team up with anybody. Someone just brought me a deal from Aberdeen, South Dakota. We're closing on in a couple of weeks. So I'll buy anything up here if it makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. So what is the reason that got you into real estate? What drove you to real estate, or have you always been in it?
So we bought that first house. It was just all the basics, just how do you invest? What is financial independence? What is financial freedom? How do you build wealth? How do you legitimately actually build wealth? And just learning. I did a ton of reading. I spent 2 years reading and learning and digesting and just trying to learn how to make more money, how to build wealth, how to build passive income. And so, all of those questions just kept pointing to real estate. And one of the reasons I kept coming back to real estate was there was just so much sweat equity that you could put into it in terms of something more than a stock market or, and I'm not like a master's degree, high IQ guy. So, and I actually read a stock picking book one time and no, just a hard no. Yeah.
No kidding. I think everything takes quite a bit of work, but man, real estate just seems like a no-brainer, really, because like I used to flip houses for 7 years up in Washington State.
No kidding.
And so I did all that hard work, man. I was coming in, tearing the houses apart, like to the bone, and I was just like, man, I'm like killing myself here, doing all this work, hiring my family. It was a pain in the,
and
what?
No life, right? And no life besides. That's all you do. Yeah.
24/7, man. And I lived in hotels, even city to city. I was like, I'm not even home.
This is a book deal right here. This is a book I would be interested in reading right here.
Yeah. I mean, I had, I hired a nanny to take care of my kids. So I think at that point in time, it's kind of like, after this, it's like, man, if I just would have known about a VA back then, to do some of the calling, to find, to get the leads for me, for me not to have to go do all that legwork.
Absolutely.
I mean, the driving for dollars is awesome, but hey, now that you can virtually drive for dollars. So we don't even need to do that anymore. So I think that's the biggest thing. We have a question from Marcy Main, and it looks like, how long did it take you to get your first deal with cold calling?
So Marcy, are you talking about when I was doing the calling or when the VA was doing the calling? So we bought that first investment house, right? We bought the one, right? And then for me, it was just in my backyard doing direct mail and stuff like that. So that was my deal flow. But the VA is kind of the only first true real cold calling. But kind of a cool story with the VA. She started a month and a half ago. 3 weeks into her calling, well, I just collected a $7,000 assignment fee check from a lead my VA brought in, and that was when it was like, whoa.
Wow.
I mean, I walked. It was here in my local market, and it was a deal I walked into, and it was kind of teed up just well for me. There were 2 other wholesalers that lowballed him, that I think undervalued what the house was, and it was exact. Now that I'm sitting here talking about it, it was exactly what I was looking for. It was like I just walked into a house. The guy was pre-qualified, ready to go, and we closed the deal. And so, and now it's like, wow. So that's volume, that's scale. And so if I could do that, even if I just did that once a week, you know, I don't want to build a huge team. To be honest, I think I want 3 to 5 team members. Anyway, he's when I was calling myself. That's what she was asking? It looks like, right?
Yeah. And I said the name wrong. So Mr. C Maynell, sorry about that.
Oh, that's funny. Well, he needs a period. It's a mutual mistake. You know, I just went, I'm super old school. I just went and started knocking on doors. I just went and started driving around and looking at houses. And, you know, this is before I knew all the tools that we had. So I didn't pull a list. And you know, after that first house, I just literally started driving around, walking around, knocking on doors. And I actually got a fair amount of leads and deals that way. So
that's awesome. Nisha says, I tried, but to be honest, not everyone is of that squat up mentality. Nope, not everybody is. Some people like to just run it by themselves or do whatever by themselves. But at the same time, I think squatting up is the best thing to do. I mean, you can get more eyes on every direction. You can open up more cities that way. You can do a lot more by doing that. So it's an awesome way to get started for sure. Let's see. Looking up. Is it possible to get a purchasing agreement signed on an REO property? Is it possible to get a purchasing agreement signed on an REO property? I would think so.
There's details in that I don't really know.
Yeah.
I know I don't do REO. I've done a short sale, but I don't do REO. So, I mean, I would imagine that they have purchase agreements, but I know there's a pretty strict process for how they want that to go.
Yeah, no kidding. So, hey, Tim and Ralph, how you doing? You guys are like from Asheville and Philly. Awesome.
Nice. Asheville, beautiful area. Beautiful area.
So how's your experience been with May so far? Anything that stands out?
It's been unreal. I was super reluctant. You know, I'm in North Dakota, Minnesota, South Dakota. So, I mean, I was super reluctant about the language barrier. I was, I mean, it just blows my mind. They have to wake up at, I don't know, at 2. I can't, and it just blows my mind. And, you know, their persistence, their consistency, their gratitude for the job. You know, I have 2 other employees, and I hired one guy, and a week in, he's already wanting to negotiate for a different, you know what I mean? Like a different structure. And I'm just like, bro, really? Wow. And I love, I mean, and honestly, one of the reasons I got a VA was to keep me going, to keep some camaraderie in my business, because it's a grind. And to be able to come and tell her that, you know, we got a deal, and to see how excited she was, and like make it a team thing, that was a big deal for me. And that was just a real cool moment as a leader to be able to do that and be a part of that.
That's awesome. Kelly says, Preston, how often do you coach up your VAs?
Coach up? Like coach?
So yeah, so I guess that would be, how often do you have to, since you have the one VA right now, so how often do you communicate with her and have to give any direction?
We have so for me, Slack, I am constantly in Slack with her. And the answer is honestly not enough. I try to make it a point once or twice a week to to go in with her. But to be honest, Start Virtual has been so helpful and amazing at, like, she took an hour of time, which I paid for her to learn how to comp properties. And she took an hour of time. Like, the Start Virtual is almost the problem. They're making it too easy in the sense of, in a good way. Like, it's so ready to go. She understands real estate. She understands cold calling. She understands comping. She understands 4 pillars. And so a lot of what I'm doing when I come in at this point is just keeping her motivated, letting her know that she's doing a great job. I don't know. I feel really fortunate. I mean, she keeps hitting her numbers. She keeps calling. And I'm probably just coming off with a high of her making me $7,000 on a check too. But, but I try to jump in once or twice a week. I think the next step for her to grow into a lead manager, honestly, is just a lot of confidence. She's still a little timid. So just building up her confidence in the sales process and what she's doing. And then just kind of some basics like comping properties, which I try to do once or twice a week, but it could be more for sure.
Okay, cool. So then based on like the results that you're getting from her and everything like that, are you planning on like expanding your team or yourself into more markets?
Yeah, so we are expanding into more markets. We're going to start marketing into more markets. I'm happy with my one VA at this point. Cause again, I'm doing direct mail and a VA, and right now I'm building up my team. We've got plenty of leads. And so I don't feel prepared to take on another VA. But yeah, in the future, I think we'd definitely be potentially doing some more.
So how's your direct mail working? Is it you're getting pretty good results out of that, or?
Yeah, we are. And part of it is just, I'm not Phoenix, Arizona. Like, I can't imagine how many houses in Phoenix, Arizona are getting
Preston Dahl, the king of the north. What is up, dude?
What's up, Pace?
Brother, how you doing? Tell me all about North Dakota.
We were just chatting about it. Yeah, for sure.
Well, catch me up to speed. Where you guys been in this conversation? I saw you on the live and I was like, Preston Dahl is on the screen right now. I got to talk to this guy.
Well, my VA got me a lead that I picked up a $7,000 check for last week. So I had to tell him about it a little bit. Yeah, dude.
In North Dakota.
Yeah.
So Preston, I know you're a mastermind student. I know you're a sub-2 student. I know all of that, but let me just ask you a couple questions because I haven't spoken to you since the mastermind. You went out and you hired a VA.
Yes, sir.
Oh, ring the bell, Brent.
Yeah. Love it.
So
Congrats,
Brent, just for some context for Brent, Preston Dahl's in North Dakota, so super small market, a little bit more challenging to scale. He's been the guy who just runs everything himself, right? Like if he's not generating leads, he's not getting deals, right? Yep. So it's one of these hate-love relationships. So we tell him, he comes to the mastermind and we show him like, bro, you got to automate your business. You got to go out and get VAs. So you went out, got a VA. I think you won a contest and I paid for your VA, right? And then you went out and got a $7,000 deal from it.
However, I had signed up and her day one was going to be after the mastermind. So I had already just made the decision, but yeah.
Okay,
sure.
good.
That's called ROI right there. That's called
for sure.
Net profit there, brother. Great job, Preston.
Sure. So Brent, at my mastermind, we take the students out to like the live projects.
Yeah.
And we do these contests on the live projects where we go, okay, guys, we want everybody, there's basically 30 mastermind students. And we say, all right, you have to guess the renovation budget as close to what it really was as possible. Whoever wins gets a VA for how long, how many months did I pay for you? 2 months. 2 months. Yep. You get a VA for 2 months. And Preston ended up being like within a couple bucks of the actual renovation budget.
Awesome.
I mean, look at the beard. It says renovation. That's what.
He knows. He knows.
It does.
He won that before you even opened up your mouth. He's like, yeah, 100%. I got it. Yeah.
So he wins the contest. We give him a VA. He goes back home, gets a lead that makes you $7,000 within like 30 days. That was like a month ago.
And the coolest part too, Pace, that just to bring you up to speed. So before I hired a VA, and I've hired 2 other folks. Like we brought property management in-house. I've hired someone to do all that. I hired another team member, acquisition manager person. But I was just telling Janelle, like 4 or 5 months ago, I was thinking if I could just talk to qualified sellers all day, that was my goal. Because pre-qualify, not just the labor, but the emotional toll and the emotional, like seriously, to just finally talk to someone who was maybe a deal. And so I'm like, if I can just walk in and talk to qualified sellers all day, that would be amazing. And that's what's so cool about this deal is I literally walked in the house. He'd already had 2 other lowball offers that were those wholesalers. I know them. They were undervaluing what the house was. And the guy was ready. I literally just showed up at the appointment, closed it. And it was like, this is exactly what I was talking, like what I wanted. Like, I just wanted, and we're still working there, but it was like, it was this is awesome. It was just like, I didn't have to pre-qualify. The CSM pulled, like, I kind of told him what I wanted. He pulled the list, like, and it's like, yeah.
For people that don't know what a CSM is, what's a CSM?
So Fido, this client success manager, I think that's what it is. Is
Fido a dog or a human?
Fido is a human. He's awesome. So I have a VA and then I have a manager that manages that VA. And I mean, just helping her keep accountable and he'll help with all the integration, all of the tools. And we have honest conversations about how I think the VA is doing. And quite honestly, the CSM Fido was what sealed the deal for me with the VA and Start Virtual. Because knowing what kind of leader I am, I'm very much like a, here you go, figure it out type of leader, and not like hold your hand, micromanage. And so having that CSM was vital for me. So
yeah. Brent Daniels has a Start Virtual VA. Brent, I don't know if you know this, we changed the name from VA Hub to Start Virtual.
Right.
And because copyright issues and whatnot.
Yep.
So Start Virtual changes its name. Brent has a texter from Start Virtual.
Yep.
And I think like within his first week of getting a texter, he got like a $40,000 deal from a text lead.
Yeah, it's been bananas. It really has. And that's, Preston, I mean, that's the best feeling. First, the best feeling is, oh my gosh, I'm only dealing with qualified leads. Then the next one is, oh my gosh, I just hired people that are way better at sales and communication and like following up than I am. And then you just, I don't know, whatever you want to do. You put bananas on your wall, you get a flamethrower, you just live the life. You know what I mean? But that is building the business. And I love that you went through it to experience what you don't want to experience. You know what I mean? Like you went through and you were making the calls and talking to people. And then you get to the point where you get somebody to do that for you. You value that more, I think, as if you didn't have that. So
yeah. And I was in ad sales before I did my own thing, what I'm doing now. And so part of it's like, yep, so we're just going to do the grind. We're going to go out and do it. And so it took a little bit to come out of that mindset of, no, that's a skill that you can hire out.
Yeah. I mean, that was a lot of what we focused on with you.
We're good.
Yeah.
It just gets goofy sometimes. All right. Awesome.
Super interesting with you, Preston, because that was one of the main things we talked about at the mastermind with you is like, you need to extract yourself from your business. Like you are involved in every little aspect. Like a lead is not being generated unless Preston is home, right? Even, one of the points I like making to the mastermind students, and I actually got this from one of Brent's masterminds that I went to out in San Diego, is that he was running this like a couple of years ago. Jamil and I went out there, and one of the questions that he asked, he's like, hey, you guys are here, but are your businesses running if you're not there? And it was like, nobody in the room raised their hand, right? Nobody in the room raised their hand because they were there obviously to learn, but you've got to automate that to the point where you literally, I know Brent's joking, but you literally have the time to then go put bananas on your wall. And I'm sure
or whatever, build up your portfolio.
We'll figure out what my bananas on the wall are.
Yeah.
Well, I know what your bananas on the wall are. It could be something like starting your own podcast for people in small markets or doing something else. Like
seriously thought about that.
Bro, but you didn't have the time and the energy to do it before. And now
I have so many ideas coming right now that,
but you have the time to do it now.
Yeah.
Right. And, here's the thing is you're going to probably get 1 or 2 more deals a month from this avenue. Then you'll probably hire a second VA. Then you'll get to a point where you're standing there in your own house saying, what the heck do I do with all my extra time? And then you've got to fill it up with, as Brent says, you got to get loud. You got to start going out and building, got to network. You got to go to more masterminds. You got to get, up to the next level. And your business, meanwhile, is running without you being there. I'm freaking pumped for you, dude.
Yeah, and I think it's our responsibility to do it. Once you get to a point where you are successful, once you're at a point where you become a magnet for people to really succeed as well. And I think it's our responsibility to stand on top of buildings and mountains and whatever else and get as loud as possible, because we're not going to run out of opportunities as real estate investors. We're just not. And if you have that mindset, it's going to be real difficult. So if you have the mindset that understands that the more that you put out there, the more that you get, I mean, it snowballs. It just turns into, it goes incredibly fast. You can watch the trajectory that both Pace, Jamil, and myself have been on the last 5 years, and it's been just crazy. So but it starts with that. It starts with being able to replace your time and your energy, like Pace was saying, with other really incredibly talented people. So
for sure.
Yeah. And living your higher purpose, like Preston, your higher purpose. I know you're super smart, eloquent, charming dude. Like, do you think you should be sitting there qualifying leads all day long?
Oh my gosh. No.
You have a way higher purpose. It doesn't mean it wasn't a good idea to do it in the first place, but you got to move on and scale your business. So, if you guys, so everybody on the screen, everybody paying attention, we've got nearly 200 people watching the warm-up show. This is just the warm-up show of Wholesale Hotline. Janelle in the upper left-hand corner of your screen, she works for a company called startvirtual.com. And if you guys are looking to hire VAs that have a CSM or a customer success manager, like Preston is talking about, go to startvirtual.com/WH for Wholesale Hotline and schedule a discovery call. Preston, when you called Start Virtual, who was the first person you spoke to in your discovery call, and what was the conversation about? You don't need to remember their name. What was the conversation about?
We talked about, they were pretty educated on the whole process. We just talked about deal flow. We talked about funneling, and goals. So like, okay, well, if these are your goals, and kind of working it backwards, how many leads do you need to generate? How much money is that going to take to generate them? How much a VA is going to cost? What a VA can do? Yeah, it was pretty, there's a lot of information for sure. 42K, man. Caroline should be on here.
She was.
Sometimes she is. I saw Caroline's $42,000 assignment and I started choking.
Yikes.
That was actually, sorry, that was our team. Who was that? It was Harold, I think. Yeah, it was Harold got us a $42,000 deal. Oh my gosh, I'm going to die. I'm going to die on the live.
Take it easy.
Awesome, Kyle. Awesome to hear.
So Janelle and Preston, good to see you guys. I'm going to pull you off to the screen.
All right.
Preston.
Take care, everybody.
Freaking great to see you, dude.
You too.
The King of the North. Did you change your Instagram name to King of the North yet?
Yeah, I'm trying to decide if I dub it, if I start calling if it's at that point now where I start calling myself.
It will be. We just need to get you on Wholesale Hotline a couple more times.
Yeah, it's not quite there. I'm letting it organically build.
How can people get a hold of you? I know you're not a big Instagrammer, but you do have an Instagram.
I do have Dollhouse Prop. It's on Facebook as well. So DAHL House Prop. Yep.
Dollhouse Prop.
Yep.
That's your Instagram name.
I believe so. To be honest, I need to check.
Okay. So if somebody calls you and has a question about, hey, I want to do a deal with you. I have a lead that I need help with. Are you willing to help them?
100%. 701-330.
Oh, he's giving out the phone number, guys.
I am.
Bro, you realize
this isn't even
still to this date. Check this out, dog. I got to show you this. People are so intense. This is today. Every single day I get somebody. I don't know if you know what you just did.
Well, I didn't finish, so maybe you saved me.
If you didn't finish, this is like never ending. Hold on a second.
The best way to communicate with me is on Facebook at Dollhouse Prop.
Don't text him. Don't call him. You don't know what you're doing to yourself, dude. Let's just make sure you got full clarity. Check this out. Every single day I get one of these text messages. Hey, I was watching a YouTube live video. every day. And
have you ever got a deal from it?
I get deals from it, but I as you know, because you're one of my students, I spend a lot more of my time sending these types of leads to existing students, where I'll go, hey, my students can help you. But it is literally every day from a podcast I did 2 years ago. So I've gotten easily 700, 800 text messages over the years. Yeah.
That's awesome.
How can I find the best cash buyers in Minnesota, King of the North?
You reach out to me and I show you. That's how.
Yeah. Reach out to the King of the North. You want to put your phone number on here? You might have to change your phone number.
I don't know. How popular is this wholesale hotline thing?
It's popular. We get thousands of downloads a week.
We'll stick with Dollhouse Prop on Facebook.
Okay. His name on Instagram is @Dollhouse.
Be brave. Do it, Preston.
Here we go. All right.
Be
Seriously.
brave.
So I have a requirement though. If people are going to reach out to me, that I will give you homework. And if you do the homework and you come back, then I will spend more time with you. That's typically how anyway, 701-330-5964. That's what it is.
5964.
Yep.
701-330-5964.
Yes, sir.
On the screen right now, guys. And if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, we're going to say it one more time. 701. Text him right now. We've got 250 people watching live. 701.
This only lasts for ever.
Unless I change it. But then I've had that number for like 10 years.
So whoever gets your new phone number is going to get a lot of deals, dog. So don't change your phone number.
That's
Just here's what you do. You hire a VA
acquisitions manager. I'll give it to my acquisitions manager.
There you go. Preston Dahl, Janelle, good to see you. We're going to pull you off the screen, go on a 20-second pause, and we're going to start Wholesale Hotline with Brent Daniels opening it up for us. And we'll see you guys in just a second.
I'm already getting texts.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. Later, bro.
That's what we do.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to go on a 20-second break. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Wholesale Hotline, where we cover everything to do with wholesale real estate. I'm Jamil Damji.
I'm Brent Daniels.
And I am Pace Morby.
And together we cover the most important parts of wholesale real estate.
Lead generation.
Conversion of sellers into contracts.
And dispositions. Guys, remember when you're watching this show, do us a favor and squad up in the comments.
Make sure that you are liking and subscribing to the YouTube channels and in the Facebook group Wholesale Hotline.
Most important, we want to know we're doing a great job for you and helping you build your business. So go give us a review on iTunes and or Spotify.
So squad up and enjoy the show!
Hey, welcome to Wholesale Hotline number 72. 72, William Refrigerator Perry's number. There you go, number 72 for the Chicago Bears. There you go. This is exciting. The day after 4th of July, everybody has been on here and has been commenting like crazy in the pre-show, and we have got an absolute banger for you guys today. We're talking about how to get 10 to 15 deals a month with no marketing. Jamil, you better crack this thing open, brother. Better crack this thing open. I mean, how do we do this? That's crazy.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Happy 4th of July. I hope everybody had a safe and pleasurable long weekend. It sounds like Pace yelled a lot. You okay, bro?
I'm good. I just want to know from Curtis Harvey, what time is it, bro?
Hey, it's always the right time in some markets, right?
That's right, baby.
That's right.
It's money making time. I know you from Jamil's squad. I've seen. I think you've been on To the Moon podcast, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's where I've seen you, dude. I'm so excited. And the answer to the question of what time is it is you're supposed to say it's money time, baby.
Closing time. Money time. Absolutely.
Well, welcome, Curtis. It's a pleasure to have you here, brother. If you guys don't know Curtis Harvey, then there's a good chance you're not a part of the Astroflipping community, and that's okay because you're going to get to know him today. Curtis Harvey is an incredible gentleman. One of my first students, actually, when I first took over the Astroflipping brand, my first student was this gentleman right here, Mr. Curtis Harvey. And he's been with me for over a year and took every bit of information, knowledge, experience, and has created for himself an incredible wholesale business, all while making 0 cold calls and spending $0 on marketing. How the heck does that happen, Curtis?
Hey, well, it's interesting is that, Jamil didn't tell you, I hit him up on Instagram when I wanted to get into class, and we talked a little bit about wholesaling in general. And the reason why I joined the class was, and I had been in a couple other mentorships, but the reason why I joined his mentorship was because of the communication I had with him, right? He was extremely open with the information. And I was like, wait, if I'm not a student, then that's how it's going to be. I wonder how it's going to be when I become a student. And it was even more so when I became a student, right? We communicate all the time. We text and cold call all the time. So that's, in regards to how things got started. In regards to the deals, I'm sure we'll get to that point.
We'll get there, Curtis, but I want everybody to know a little bit about yourself because you're an interesting man. He did not come to wholesale or come into real estate because he was in need of something different financially. Curtis, tell us a little bit about your background and what you do for a W-2.
Yeah. So I'm an engineer. I'm an architect. I'm a pre-sales architect. So I from a technical perspective, I help our sales guys close deals, right? And luckily enough, for the last 15 years, I've not had a quarter where we have not hit our number from a performance perspective, right? So I've always been able to execute upon what's been put in front of me, and I've always been able to get bonuses based on that because I'm able to deliver, right? So when I start looking at I'm 55. So when I start looking at what I need to be doing in regards to retirement, what I start thinking is that I need to really put a plan together of something that I can continue to earn even after I retire. Because my wife and I, we love to travel, right? And even before COVID, we used to go on 3-4 vacations a year. And I started thinking of a plan of what I could do. So I went out and I tried a couple of mentorships that didn't work out because the base wasn't there, right? So, there's tons of people out there with mentorships of things that you could do. I jumped into a Sharif Medawar commercial multifamily situation. I jumped into a Michael Blanc's private placement and syndication. And one of the things I realized about it was if you don't have the foundation or the cash to really get in at those levels, to me, it was a waste of time and a waste of money, right? I learned a little bit, but not much. But when I jumped into Jamil's program, the module 1 kind of set me up, right? It's, the mindset module, in my opinion, is probably one of the most important aspects of the program. And it kind of set me up, and it got my mind to the point where, because I've done a lot of things in life, right? I was a thoroughbred racehorse trainer for 15 years, right? I've had other businesses, but one of the things for me that kind of put everything in perspective was the way that in order to get a wholesale deal, in order to get a wholesale business structured, the things that I had to do, which were different than any other business, right? And that's, for me, from a background perspective, kind of where I come from and kind of what my vision was when I jumped into the program.
Wow.
How was it different? How was building this business different than some of these other ones?
Yeah, I'll tell you exactly how it was different. So Jamil has a really good roadmap, right, for how to wholesale, right? And he gives you all the information, and he's available twice a week on phone calls, you know, sometimes 7 to 8 hour Zoom calls. In addition to that, you know, you got Wholesale Hotline, you got Straight Outta Comping, and, you know, he's on, you know, with Ty the Flip Man on, you know, doing comps, right? So tons of information, right? But one of the things for me that was the thing that really put it together for me was the practical application of all the information that he gave, right? Was how do you make this into a system? Because everyone talks about systems, right? But the thing about systems is that a lot of people in the beginning, when they jump into wholesaling and they start talking about systems, it's completely shiny object stuff, right? It's not something you need. Like a person will jump in and because I probably talked to 200 people in the program that are pre and currently in the program, and some that are have been in the program in the past. And one of the things I found is that as soon as someone starts to wholesale, they're trying to figure out how can they implement systems that somebody, let me get Pace's script, or let me get Brent's script, and let me figure out what I need to do. And I really broke it down and made it very simple, right? When I first started out, before I got up to 5 deals, I wrote everything on a yellow pad, and I kept track of everything that way, right? Mm-hmm. It probably wasn't until deal 8 until I actually paid the $29 a month to get a full-blown version of Podio, right? And then what I did was I started to create processes, because as an engineer in my business, in order to understand how to do something, or I needed to figure it out. And then I started thinking I wanted to get VAs and do other things, but how was I going to be able to transfer that information to them if I didn't have a method of doing that? So I started creating documentation in regards to what I was doing, and started looking up a lot of information in regards to, what's an SOP, and starting to get more details around SOPs and really being streamlined in regards to SOPs. And then I really got into, like, there was in the program, in one module, there's some of the downloads are there's a KPI worksheet that Jamil had. So I took that KPI worksheet, and that one wasn't going to work for me. I modified it to the nines, and I figured, so how am I going to figure out a way to figure out whether those SOPs that I wrote in the beginning are really working? And that was with the KPIs, and that's how I modify my KPIs all along, right? Because I look and say,
SOP. Will you explain what that means?
Yeah, it's a standard operating procedure. It's, for instance, if I'm going to be a cold caller, I need to, and at some point, I'm going to try to scale my business. There's no way I could scale it on my own. So I'm going to need to bring in people into my business to delegate tasks to, right? And in order to do that, I need to create a standard operating procedure, write documentation of how I'm going to do it, whether it's, a Word document, or whether it's Loom or some other method. And then I'm going to hand that one over to someone and let them delegate that to them, so that they can figure out how to do the tasks that I was doing before. Like I said, if it's cold calling, then it's cold calling. If it's, outreach, if it's outreach. And then basically what happens is, once they figure out how to do it based on my information, I can look at the KPIs in my business, that I'm tracking, the key performance indicators, and I can tell if they're following it to a T. If they're not, I can help and modify that to make sure the KPIs come out like I want them to be at the end, right? And ultimately, for me, that's what I think helped me the most within Jamil's program. Like, he gives you all the information, right? He gives you the roadmap of what you need to do. But the problem that I found with a lot of people present and past in the program who haven't had success, it's because they make this process much more complicated than it needs to be, right?
So boil that down for us, Curtis. Let's distill this to the essence of what I preach, what we talk about, and what you do on a day-to-day basis to generate leads and to get deals? What is the foundation of it? Tell us a little bit about what kind of lead generation you're doing and how that's all working.
So what I did, I started out in, obviously everyone talks about it being a really complicated market, but I started out in Southern California, right? I live in Southern California. I started in Southern California. My first deal was in San Bernardino, right? And from a lead perspective, I have about 55 strategic partners that I utilize in the Southern California market, right? And I've included Northern California in that as well, like, guys like Jonah and just tons of other people. And
when you say strategic partner, Curtis, are you talking wholesalers, agents, or both, or what does that mean?
Absolutely. So there is, most of them are wholesalers. Most of them are acquisition wholesalers. A big portion of them are direct to seller acquisition wholesalers. There's some of them that are agents that bring me off market, either off market, either on agent on market deals or agent off market deals, right? They're kind of stuffed into that. And then there's but most of them are squad up situations, people who are in the program and people who are in both Brent and Pace's program who reach out to me, who need help with something, and I help them with whatever that is. And then when they get a deal that we can work on, we work on it, and that's one of the things that's been the most helpful for me is that having a community, like every mentorship doesn't have that, right? But having a mentorship, being in a mentorship with a community of people that not only need help, but people who will bring you deals if you help them and help them understand, is kind of what, for me. And so that's from a lead generation perspective, that's where most of my that's where I would say probably 65 to 70% of my leads come from the community.
And then what about the other 35 to 30%, Curtis? Where are they coming from? Well,
they come from people who are outside of the community that still need that same help, right?
So is it still just the same type of lead? Are you mainly working with wholesalers and real estate agents, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you're going to find this as being funny. So I've done 0 on market direct to agent deals, right? Most of my business is the mix is probably 75% micro flips, and the other 25% though are direct to seller deals. But I don't do any lead generation on those deals because those direct to seller deals come from people in the community that are act wholesalers or guys that do, or people that do direct to seller deals, and they don't want to deal with the disposition portion of it. And because I built out my market with a minimum, like for instance, when I built out the LA market, I built it out with a minimum of 10,000 cash buyers, right? So when I get a deal, I'm pretty sure if I get it if it's been comped, I'm very conservative in my comping. I follow I follow the appraisal rules to too much to a T sometimes, but the key thing about it is when I get a deal that I've appraised, I can disposition it pretty fast. Like I had a deal just 2 weeks ago in Atlanta. I think the assignment fee on it was like 10 grand. The other Astro student that had the deal direct to seller made 10 grand, and I sold it in 35 minutes. Right. So the key is even though there's 75% micro flips, which is obviously people in the community and outside that bring deals directly to me, I get the other deals that are direct to seller because it's good sometimes to present direct to seller deals to your buyer base because sometimes they like that exclusivity, right? So being able to get those though for me was tough. I tried cold call. I mean, that's how I got my first deal, right? Cold calling, right? I cold called, got a duplex, and first one duplex, and then they ended up giving me another duplex, got a $90,000 assignment fee, right? But every deal since then has been either a micro flip or a deal that someone else has direct to seller. And I spend a lot of that. So I find myself spending a lot of time most recently with people who have been really tough about it, right? Like you guys have had Brandon Barnes on the show before, right? I harass him every day, right? Because all his deals are direct to seller, right? So, and he has a ton of cash buyers, but one of the things that has happened recently is he reached out to me and said, "Hey, could you help me with the micro flip? I need to understand the micro flip." And I said, "Absolutely. if you start giving me some of your deals. So it's about being able to provide some help. And you know, my business is based on service, right? So if I can provide and help someone and then later on reap the benefits of that, that's, you know, that's kind of a grand portion of that.
Hey, Curtis, I've got a ton of really good questions in the side chat. I want to pause and let Jamil kind of hammer through them if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Curtis, one of the major questions we're being asked is, how do you build your buyers list? So what are some of the techniques and tactics that you're using to compile these lists? Because you're in multiple markets. So let's just talk about some of those techniques, and then let's talk about the markets you're in.
Yeah. So how I build them? Well, kind of 4 pillar stuff that's directly out of the program, right? I reach out to people in Facebook groups. I join tons of Facebook groups, right? I reach out to people that are in those Facebook groups directly, right? I direct message them, communicate with them about what I'm doing in that market, and I definitely would like to help them. Would they like the JV? Well, you know, I do tons of posts, right? Grab tons of emails based on that, right? Communicate with people. I talk to people who actually posting deals, right? And I do tons of stuff like we talk about all the time, which is I'll go on prop streams and I'll pull a cash buyers list of 5,000 cash buyers. And one of the things I found about skip tracing is that I have more luck with cash buyers skip tracing via my VAs, right? I have my VAs do it, right? So my whole within my business, I kind of haven't done any hires that have been anything except for 30-day contractual VA hires so far, right? Because of the laws in California and some of the other markets, it's been really tough for me to do that.
Are we going to try and blow Curtis's phone up today or what? Because we got Christopher James asking, how can I reach out to you?
Oh, absolutely.
And usually our goal is to try and get our guests to get about 300 text messages. And we usually blow through that. So I'm wondering, do you want to give out your cell phone number on this show? Because we got a good hour and 10 minutes to just completely melt the battery on that phone.
Yeah, absolutely. My phone number is 949-302-1231.
Hold on. 949
302
1231. 123. Wow, how'd you get that number? That's freaking dope.
I had that one for years.
Man, 1231. That's awesome. Yeah. All right, guys. So if you want to text him, you guys have questions for him, or you guys want to work deals with him, he is an Astroflipping student, and I'm telling you, these guys know how to find buyers. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I love doing joint Zooms with my sub 2 students and Astroflipping students, because the Astroflipping students bring a whole other layer to the real estate game than any other mentorship. So Curtis, I hope you get blown up, dude. You got your ringer on? Is that you getting blown up already?
It's starting already.
Perfect. Guys, I will be so pissed off if you don't take action. The phone number is on the screen right now, 949-302-1231. And gentleman's name is Curtis. So I want you guys to text him and say, hey, Curtis, I want to squat up. That's the text message. Hey, Curtis, I want to squat up. My name is blank. All right.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh, it's gonna be going all night.
Yeah,
hey,
I know.
How many viewers do we have right now, brother?
We have over 300. We were at about 350 and growing. So you should get about 300 text messages tonight, because you always get about 20% of people that just don't take action, or they're cooking dinner, or they got a baby in their arms, or they're driving home from work, or whatever it is. And that's perfectly fine. But you'll get about 300 text messages tonight. Sounds like it's just starting.
Yeah.
Curtis, let's talk a little bit about the different markets you're in, because I know you began your wholesaling career in Southern California, but since then have expanded to a few different markets. Can you talk a little bit about that expansion? How long it's taken? Are there any markets that you say you favor over others? What did that look like, and what does it look like now?
Well, it's interesting. When I first started out, obviously started out in Southern California, and then I moved into Northern California. It's going off like a bank, like the ATM now. So one of the things that for me that when I first started out, what was weird for me was like,
are we prepared to listen to this the whole entire show?
No, I'm gonna turn it off. Don't worry.
No, don't turn it off. I actually kind of think it's great. Guys, let's see how much we can make that phone freaking ring. Blow this dude up. His phone number's on the screen. Let's text this man. 949-302-1231. Hey, Curtis, my name is Pace. I want to squad up. That's the text message.
Yeah, we got a few here. But one of the things is when I first got into Astro, when I was trying to figure out I figured I'd go local, right? And I really developed that market out. I got to like 3 to 5 a month. And then I said, well, it's time to scale up from there. But the only time I'd be able to scale up from there is if I would go and I would figure out what markets I wanted to go into next. I figured I'd go into markets and I reached out on the call, and Jamil's like, well, dude, just make it very simple. Just go in the market where Keighley is. And so I jumped in the markets where Keighley was. And the first market outside of California that I jumped into was Atlanta, right? And then I start doing a significant amount of deals. I think I got 35 strategic partners in Atlanta, and I do a decent amount of deals on a monthly basis there, right? Most of them are micro flips, but I do have, a couple other people in the program like Janet Ross and Mahmoud, who I do a lot of direct to seller deals in Atlanta. And the great part about that is, and like I said before, you get to provide that exclusivity to some of the cash buyers who, some of them, they like that. They buy both micro flips and direct to seller deals from me. So it's great.
So I'd like to expand, because we have people asking, what's a micro flip? So a micro flip, guys, just to give you a top of the line definition, is when you are providing leverage to one side of a sales equation. So let's just say you are an acquisition wholesaler. That means you're somebody who maybe Brent Daniels has trained to get out there and have as many conversations with homeowners as possible, and you have access, or you are getting deals under contract. Now, you may need help finding a buyer. Say you're 3 or 4 or 5 days into your inspection period and you have not yet found a buyer. You could micro flip that deal to an individual like Curtis, who would be your dispo wholesaler. So it's leveraging each side of the equation, right? A true micro flip is when you take a deal from an acquisition wholesaler and you give it to a disposition wholesaler like a Keighley, and you connect the dots in the middle. And so a lot of times the lowest hanging fruit is being able to connect the dots between somebody who has a contract but no buyer and somebody who has a buyer and is looking for a contract. It's as simple as it can get.
Yep.
Curtis, could you describe a little bit about some of the assistance that you're giving to people? Because I know, especially in the Astro community, that's something that you're well known for. What are some of the things that you're helping people accomplish, or some things that throughout the week people call you and ask about?
Well, it's interesting. You guys talked about memorandums last week. And one of the interesting things is that I just had a deal maybe a week and a half ago that closed in Atlanta. And I asked you about memorandums maybe, I would say 8 to 9 months ago, right? Because I got in the program in March, right before COVID. And probably 3 or 4 months after that, I talked to you about memorandums. I was having issues with the seller. They wanted to back out of a deal. And so I was doing this deal in Atlanta, and we had a same thing. Seller wanted to back out. And so I thought about it. I grabbed my documents, sent it to the other Astro student who was direct to seller on it, right? They went to the county, the Cobb County office submitted a memorandum of contract ex parte, right? So it done really fast. And then she called her attorney immediately. The attorney sent a notice to perform letter directly to the seller. And then the seller called us the next day, signed the closing documents, and we closed a couple of days after that, right? And that was something directly out of the program, and something, that I learned that I help people with all the time, which is the memorandum of contract, because there's that layer with that some people find that it's confusing to them, right? So really breaking down and understanding that, helping them understand that, it obviously help get a deal closed, right? And it happens all the time, right? People call all the time and say, and I don't mind helping people. That the helping people is not a problem. I just don't want to get into the business of doing work for other people, and if as long as they're willing to do the work and put in the work, I don't mind, helping them out at all.
I think, by the way, listening to the dings on the podcast might drive people crazy. I mean, we can keep it going. It's up to you guys. But if somebody's listening to just the audio of this, they're going to think that they're getting 1,000 texts. Just saying. Anyway, let me ask you, Curtis, I have a few questions that have just kind of bubbled to the surface here. When you talk
Curtis,
about,
why don't we turn the dinger off while Brent is getting ready for those questions? Let's turn that off, guys. We've proven our point. Wholesale Hotline shows up and takes action.
Hey, they take action. That's incredible. Yep. Is there a difference, Curtis, with the amount that you make on a direct to seller versus a micro flip?
Oh, absolutely. My average, I kind of can balance it out in averages. So my average micro flip is between 5,000 and 7,500.
Okay.
My direct to seller deals that I do a minimum of 10,000 on the assignment fee.
Got it. Okay. And then if somebody wanted, so you said, and I love that you said this, your first 5 to 7 deals you did with just a yellow pad of paper, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you have a logo?
No.
Did you have a website?
I did, but from that other mentorship, I didn't need it. But the thing is I paid I think I paid $2.99 for a year for the domain and put it up on GoDaddy. So it was good to go. But I didn't have. You're right. I didn't have to pay. I didn't have to pay for a CRM. I didn't have to pay for any of those until I got up to about 5 deals.
That's incredible. And when you get a deal, how are you getting that in front of your cash buyers? Are you calling them, texting them, emailing them? What is that? How are you so much better at it than the people that are bringing you the deals? You know what I mean?
I think it. Well, I do a couple of things that I've learned that a lot of people don't do. Is I do a lot of just like I do outreach to find deals. I do outreach to my cash buyers, right? So I have tons of conversations with them. I get tons of feedback on deals because it helps me in regards to placing deals with them.
Yep.
In addition to that, I think one of the things is that having a large cash buyers list also helps me with, when I'm in a market, it just helps, when a lot of people will come to me, right, when they're starting on, they'll say, hey, I have a deal, but I don't have any cash buyers. Right. So I say, hey, while you work on your cash buyers list, and here goes, X, Y, and Z that you need to be doing to build that out. But in addition to that, I'll do disposition for you, and we could just split the assignment fees 50-50, right? And absolutely, that's how I do a ton of my deals.
It's you. Is it you calling? Is it VAs calling? Are you on the phone all day long, or is somebody else doing it? What does your team look like?
So most of my outreach right now has been, I have 2 VAs, and they're all part-time, but on a monthly basis, right? I do all of that. I have them do everything except for outreach currently, right? And this is pretty interesting and maybe helpful. So I started reading a book called Clockwork about a week and a half ago, and because I'm trying to figure out, because I hear people all the time saying, oh, well, just this business is one in which you don't need to be. It can be a real good cash flowing business for you, and you can scale it as you turn on the faucet as you choose. So I've been really trying to figure out how to do that in every market, right? Because I'm in 13 markets total, but I've been trying to figure out how to do that in every market. So I created these SOPs, pretty thorough SOPs. And last week I was trying to figure out, for me, in doing an analysis of what do you delegate, right? Because you don't want to not delegate the right thing. I figured out I do in all 13 markets, I do about 3 hours of outreach a week, right? And for me, I like, if I could get that 39 hours back, that'd be great, right? So I created a process for delegating all of my outreach, right? And me and Jamil, I mean, we talked about this a lot. I know Jamil says, hey, sometimes they don't get the inflection right, they don't get the conversation right. But but the way that I'm documenting it with the way that I'm doing it, I think I can do this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to delegate and move that 39 hours to a VA, so I'm going to get 39 hours to do what I want to do, right? So I want to do, I want to do more Toro. I want to do more Airbnb. I want to do more. I want to build out my business a lot better, right? And it's going to give me back more hours to be able to do that. So that's one of the things that I'm going to do.
And Jamil, just is it? You get a deal, you reach out, you're trying to go to specific buyers that like the deal, and if it doesn't go to them, then as Curtis was saying, he has 10,000 buyers in LA, right? Like, you're not calling 10,000 buyers in 3 hours a week. So there's got to be some way that you're communicating with these buyers, right?
So for me, I use Constant Contact, right? And it's a great way for me to not only be able to communicate, but be to be able to get feedback back, right? If I send out a link, and let's say I send out a survey to my cash buyers in LA, and I say, of these 3 deals, which best fits your buy box, right? And I can track it back to which people actually clicked on which deal to tell me that information, which gives me a lot of feedback about what the buyers are expecting. Right, I know which ones are 1 to 4 unit multifamily buyers. I know which ones are fire damage buyers. I know which ones are, they don't buy anything over 2 to 3 bedrooms. I know the ones that don't spend over $750, because I've done those surveys and they've clicked. All they have to do is click in the box, and it feeds me back that information, right? So I do all the disposition, so I manage that based on the feedback that I get from the buyers.
But mainly, Curtis, what you're saying is your main method of communication is email marketing?
Yeah, email. Yeah, I haven't done. Yeah,
I haven't done. Brent, is that what you were trying to get to? It's mainly email, and it's the same way that we do it at Keegley, right? So, our sales process, what we train and what we do is the same. We begin by text messaging those handful of strong buyers that are specifically looking for a deal like the one you might be sending out next. Once those text messages are sent, we move to the email blast. And that's usually, within 45 minutes to an hour after our deal text gets generated. So once we have a deal processed and we start marketing, it's about an hour that our VIPs have to evaluate and make a decision before the email goes out to everybody.
What I'm trying to demonstrate here is just how much work goes on in the dispo side, because I think that it's often overlooked, because lead generation takes the forefront. It's kind of like without it, and then closing and going on the appointments and being able to get those deals, takes a big chunk of that. But the dispo side, if you've got it down, it's really, really, really powerful, but it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work to set that up and get it running effectively. Not a lot of, I'm not talking about years and years and years and years, but building really good relationships and just understanding. I mean, Jamil, as well as I do, there are people in our business that have been in our business for 20 years, 30 years, 15 years, 12 years, that they will not do dispo. They just won't. They will literally bring you guys their deals every single time. They don't want to deal with it.
Pace, if you would, thank you, Randy. I appreciate that. I love you back, bro. If you could please highlight Leroy Wolfgram. Are you talking daisy chaining 2 wholesalers on 1 deal? I'd like to talk about that, because I believe that's something that a term has gone around that has stopped people from collaborating and working with each other, because for whatever reason, one educator a decade ago decided that when people help each other, it's a problem. And so let's negatively brand it daisy chaining when there's collaboration between individuals. So first, Leroy, I thank you for asking for clarity on this. What I teach is how to get a legitimate option agreement between yourself and another wholesaler. What is an option agreement? It is transferring equitable interest. Equitable interest is what the foundation of wholesale is based on. And so a daisy chain, Leroy, is when individuals take other people's deals and without permission try and market those deals to find a buyer. And ultimately, that lack of permission or the lack of equitable interest is what creates a little bit of heartache and possibly some heartburn for wholesalers that are trying to keep their deals exclusive. Now, Leroy, what we've noticed happens a lot, and it's something that not only have we built one of the largest wholesale operations in the nation off of, but it's something that has blemished wholesaling in a general sense is non-performance on deals. And there are so many deals that get canceled on a week-to-week basis. Why? Because wholesalers aren't leveraging folks like Curtis Harvey or like others that are in the Astroflipping program, because they feel that working with somebody will make them a daisy chainer. And because that is a negative term, they just cancel on a seller who was sitting outside their house with a packed up U-Haul ready to move because you've made a promise to them that you're no longer fulfilling. So Leroy, what do? We teach individuals how to value their deals more accurately. If you reach out to an individual like Curtis Harvey or anyone else in the Astroflipping mentorship and ask them for an understanding of value, ask them for a buy price, ask them for an ARV, and if you get some wacky number, I didn't do my job. Truth. If one of my students gives you a wacky number, I haven't done my job, which is why I tirelessly, as Curtis said, spend 6 to 8 hours on Zoom calls sometimes. And I do multiple hours a week of free education on how to run comps, because right now we run the risk as an entire business model of more and more regulation, because we are incorrectly evaluating properties and we are canceling on sellers and not performing on our obligations. True.
That's the toughest hurdle as you're getting started out, deal or no deal. That's the toughest hurdle. And what Jamil's saying is you've got resources around the country, literally probably every state now, right? That are in Astro,
yes,
that are focused on understanding values, understanding what the cash buyers are looking for. So that shouldn't be an excuse. There should never be a deal that you lock up unless there's some unknown reason that you can't get done. There shouldn't be. If you know how to run your numbers and you have somebody backstopping you, then you should be able to close every deal.
1,000%. And that's why TTP students and Astroflipping students have such a beautiful bond. That's why sub 2 mentorship students and Astroflipping students have such great communication and can do deals together. And it's because this entire community of inclusiveness, of cooperation, of helping each other without expectation of benefit. You know how many hours a week Curtis Harvey spends on the phone with people that'll never bring him a deal?
Yeah.
Happens all the time. They see him on To the Moon. They'll hear about him here on Wholesale Hotline. They see him in Facebook groups chatting and hobnobbing. And they ask for guidance, and he freely gives. Freely. And what I teach and what he is talking about in the first module of our program, which is in complete mindset reset, is how to act and work from a state of abundance. It's the foundation of an abundant life is an abundant mind. And it doesn't matter if you're in wholesale or if you're an engineer or if you just like clocks. You can see how abundant Curtis Harvey's mindset is just by the number of clocks on his wall.
Yeah, there you go. But you know something is interesting that that question came up, because I mean I obviously doing deals, I get people that send my deals back to me marked up 20 grand all the time, right?
Yes.
But one of the things is, because I have either a non-exclusive option or a blanket option. Some guys in some markets who do tons of deals, I'll have a blanket option with them. But one of the benefits to that, and me being as conservative as I am in regards to comping and the amount of information that I require from the deal, I've never had a deal fall out of escrow at all. And realistically, I just completed deal number 200 last week.
I didn't even know that, dude.
Brent, can you ring the bell 200 times real quick?
Yeah, real quick. Hey, this will be for everybody listening to the podcast. 200 bell rings. You ready?
No. Do one big one. There you go.
There you go. That's how you get
is that I think Curtis Harvey I think that Wholesale Hotline rang Curtis Harvey's bell 200 times on this show today.
Yeah, easily. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wait, Curtis, 200 deals in how long?
I started last March. I got my first one in. I think I brought that one to Jamil in April. I think I closed that one in maybe beginning of June last year.
That was the deal you made 90 on.
Yep,
so
correct.
Interesting, and it was multifamily. You know, here's the thing, Brent, which is an interesting part of this, right? Is we tend to, as a community, stay away from things that are a little bit more difficult, right? Yeah. And something that I think I immediately realized about Curtis was he ran towards more complicated situations because he felt that the more complicated the deal, the less number of people are willing to put time and effort and energy behind it, the more likely he would be to connect the dots and be able to add value and make money.
Yep.
His first deal was exactly that way, right? It's a multifamily deal in Southern California. He was needing some understanding on how to evaluate. We valued it together, and then was looking for a buyer. Now he had just come out the gate. You know, he hadn't really figured out how to find buyers or what that was about, and he used a simple technique I talk about often about mining the MLS for recently flipped properties, the owners of whom may be in the market for their next flip. Why? Because they just listed one. So he used that strategy to find an individual who had just listed a property that was still in the market to purchase, and that deal netted him $90,000 a month in, or is it 2 months?
Yeah, no, it was 2 months in. Yeah, 2 months in.
2 months in.
Well, listen,
I'm not saying this because I want everybody to join Astroflipping. I want everybody to join TTP and Sub too. But what I want you to do is when you're in those mentorships, reach out to an Astroflipping student so we can help you move your deal.
Yep.
So if I get this right, in 455 days-ish, you're closing a deal once every 2 to 3 days?
Yep. Sometimes 3 or 4 in one day. But it's all because of the relationships and the other students that I deal with, right? Like for instance, one of your students, Juan, and he logs into my I bought a list from an assignment fee. I bought a list and I put it in call tools. Me and him started talking. He's like, hey, when I have time, let me jump in there and call. So he's calling on the list. I deal with Richard Knowles and Noah and Jonah all the time out of
three of my great students out of Cali. Richard Knowles.
It's
a little bit more hair than you, though.
Yeah, but that's how
Richard Knowles has 3 foot, maybe 4 foot long hair.
Yeah, yeah, in a small car, right?
And Noah Hoffman is my Airbnb manager. My gosh, if you guys are looking for seller finance Airbnbs, he's the guy. Man, Curtis, that's cool. You're working with those guys.
That guy's a beast. I reached out to him because he was doing 2 Airbnbs in Fresno, and I needed a contractor for a deal I sold. Crazy part, the deal was. I worked the deal with 2 Astro students. One of them was one of them had the deal, brought it to me on the last day and said, hey, I got 1 more day before my before the due diligence finishes. And another Astro student ended up buying it. So she got the deal at 60% of ARV, and it was his first deal. He got an assignment fee. He was super happy. So but the good thing is they needed a contractor in Fresno, and I reached out to Noah because he was doing 2 Airbnb, and I saw him on Instagram, and I reached out to him. And he,
you know how Noah got those Airbnbs?
Yeah, with no money.
Right. Well, yeah, creative finance, but he got them from an Astroflipping student.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm telling you, the inclusive environment. And then I got a text message from Noah this morning. Jamil, the Outcast house in Atlanta. We're gonna hit $25,000 this month in income on a house.
It's one of the nicest houses I've seen, though, Pace. I mean, right there, right before my eyes, too, Pace. You showed me something that was really, really an interesting thing. Right on paper, I would have never bought the house that Pace bought. On paper, right off the hop, I would have been like, I'm overpaying based off the math, right? what Pace explained to me was that, okay, yeah, I'm maybe paying about $100,000 over retail, but let me show you what I'm doing here. I'm creatively financing this with a very low interest rate. I'm only out of pocket $100,000. And my $100,000 that I'm out of pocket is now going to cash flow me $10,000 to $15,000 a month.
Wow.
One
Meaning,
deal. You
deal.
could retire on one deal.
Yeah. So the $100,000 that he puts down comes back to him in under a year. The property is appreciating, and he gets accelerated depreciation on that property. So he got to write off, over $1 million in revenue against his taxes. So he got paid 3 times on that situation. He got appreciation, depreciation, and cash flow.
Well, here's the coolest thing about that deal. The coolest thing about it, I bought it creative finance, right? It's 2% seller finance. The coolest thing about it is it came from a wholesaler who didn't have the ability to exit on the deal, and the seller needed something that they couldn't offer. So what's amazing is this community that TTP, Astroflipping, and Sub2 has built together is that we're all, some of my best deals come from TTP students. Some of my best abilities to sell my deals have actually come from Astroflipping students. Right now, we are dispoing our first deal in North Carolina. You guys know about that 0 to Hero challenge we're doing?
Yeah.
Yep.
So on day 8, which means 24 hours of work, we got our first deal in North Carolina. We're making $30,000 on it, and an Astroflipping student is dispoing it for us.
Yeah, there you
So
go.
I'm telling you guys, like, it is the most amazing thing to just go to work every day and hang out with your friends that you've built a community with. It's like an automatic thing. When I see somebody that's a TTP student, I see somebody that's an Astro student, I'm like, we're going to make money together, aren't we? That's it. It's like, did we just become best friends?
That's cool. That's cool. Hey, I saw that, on the Sunday service when you had Jonah on there, outside of the dating stuff, I'm looking for Cody too, man. I'm looking for my Cody as well.
I mean, whoever hung those clocks probably is your integrator, dude. I don't, what I'm saying?
Yeah, but she's not interested in wholesaling.
Oh, okay, got it.
And I've been married to her for 21 years.
So Curtis, I want to dive in a little bit about what you've got on the horizon, because Curtis is here's the beautiful thing about our business. You make connections, you build relationships, you teach people, and then what do? They do the exact same thing themselves, and that's how you grow. That's how you evolve, and that's how you blossom and explode. Not only a concept, but a methodology and a way of being, right? And so, Curtis, I've been hearing chirpings and rumors that you might be looking at some point to get into the space of education. Let's talk a little bit about that, and tell us about what media you have on the horizon as well. I've heard some interesting news about a possible podcast. I'd love everybody on the Wholesale Hotline to know about what these things are and how they can further your goals for these things to come to fruition.
Yep. So I'm launching a Deal Depot podcast. It's going to be all about ways to become more efficient, ways to get more deals done with more people. And I'm launching that podcast. And I already talked to your assistant about my first guest. So hopefully I can get, Jamil and Natalie on, and then reach out to Brent and Pace as well.
Would be an honor.
I'm in the process of launching launching some education as well, right? I'm going to launch what's called Acquisitions Academy. I'm going to have a Dispositions Academy, and then I'm going to have a Growth Academy, right? The acquisition obviously covers acquisition, disposition cover dispositions, and then Growth Academy will grow people wanting to really scale their business, right? To teach people how to really document the process and scale appropriately, so you can it can be predictable in the way that you scale and not take all the randomness out of it. In addition to that, I'm growing I own a hard money lender. I'm growing that business out this year. I just hired my first full-time permanent person this morning in regards to that. Hopefully, those are, the first few things that I'm doing. I got a few things, my Turo business is taking off pretty good. We bought, some new vehicles for that. I'm doing Airbnb arbitrage as well. right now. So those are the things that I'm doing to grow. But it all starts with with the community and being able to help people out. And there goes Chi there, jumped on. Yep. So absolutely. So it is for me. It's given me a lot of opportunities, right? Well, I'm we talked about it from the beginning of this, right? Being an engineer, I make 6 figures from my engineering job, right? So I didn't originally get into this thinking it was going to go where it went. I got into it thinking about I need to prepare myself for retirement, right? And it's taken off to something that's completely beyond what I thought about it could get me, right? And I'm appreciative, to you for giving me an opportunity, to understand from your perspective the way that you see things, right? Because that's what's really helped me is this, like I said, I probably talk to between 200 and 300 people a week about wholesaling that are in the program, right? And 99% of the time it's follow the modules, stick to the low-hanging fruit, do the easy stuff, get the singles rather than always trying to get the home run, because that's a lot of really what it is keeping people really aligned with what's in the modules. Because a lot of people, they want to, as soon as they get into wholesaling, they want to sell a 500 unit multifamily deal, or they want to do some commercial hotel deal with 500 keys. And I'm like, stick to the basics, do the low hanging fruit, hit the singles, and it'll get you to where you need to be, because if you, it takes time to get a multifamily deal done. It takes time to be able to truly analyze a multifamily deal, right? And by the time that happens, you could have already closed 3 or 4 single family wholesale deals, So for me, that's what's extremely important. Is making sure that people understand the basics, they understand the foundation, and they're reaching out from a place of they're really trying to understand, right? Not wanting me to do the work for them, not saying, hey, what's your processes or what's your internal IPs of your company, but really saying, hey, I need help. Could you help me? I got a roadblock in front of me, right? Because I find when most people do have those and you refer them back to module 1 and they review module 1, it solves it for them anyway. Most of it is between the ears, right? And once they realize that, it doesn't matter what business you're going to be in, the same philosophy that you have about wholesaling, you'll have more businesses. 'Cause I would imagine, and I heard you guys during your individual sessions, because of wholesaling, you guys all have a lot of other businesses, right? Pace has a ton of businesses, right? And it's because he's probably applied the same practices he applied in his first business. He probably scaled that the same way, right? And they're doing all the same things the same way. So
Pace has more businesses than he does siblings. It's crazy.
I almost have as many businesses as Curtis has clocks.
Almost.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. I just had a conversation with Jamil the other day. And I talked about this every time I hear Brent talk about this on his YouTube channel, talks about how wholesaling is really the gateway to absolute true wealth. It really is. I mean, look what it does for you, Curtis. Yeah. All these simple single, double, triples, and occasional home run, it keeps you in the game at such a great and amazing level that it opens up every other door. Like, think about where you were a year ago. You just rattled off. Check this out. This is such an interesting thing. You just rattled off several businesses that you're building or in your pipeline. A year ago, maybe a year and 2 or 3 months ago, you would have laughed if you heard somebody saying that, like, oh, and Curtis, in 1 year, you're going to have 200 deals. You're going to have, a Turo business and this and that and all these other things. And you're going to be squatting up with dozens and dozens and dozens of other successful people. You won't even recognize yourself in a year. You'd be like, give me whatever mushrooms you are eating. I will gobble them down right now.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that comes from wholesaling, right? It comes from wholesaling. And I'm just so impressed and amazed. I mean, I think some of the things you're challenged with now in your business are things that you weren't even thinking about a year ago, right? So like integration, right? You brought up Cody Barton, my business partner.
Yep.
You want to scale to another level. Now you got to solve different problems than you were solving a year ago.
Correct.
And that is the most exciting thing ever, is to be able to be interfaced with problems you didn't even know existed a year ago.
Correct.
Meanwhile, everybody else is like stuck in this reset mode of like, I'm going to, you know what, this month I'm finally going to do it. This month I'm finally going to take action. This month I'm finally going to squat up with somebody. This month I'm finally going to go do whatever. You actually took the action and put in the work. Yeah, Astroflipping's dope.
Yeah.
Like, that's not even a question. Astroflipping is dope. The thing is, Curtis, you implemented true action to it, and look how your life has blossomed.
Yeah, it's changed dramatically. I mean, you know, the important. I think one of the things for me that that helped is understanding. And like I say, it all delves back to that week one, right? That module, the module mindset. For me, that, and I go back and I revisit that often, right? I go back and I go through the modules often, right? Because I think we learn something with every deal we do, right? But in addition to that, when we go back and we revisit things that we've been through, like I go back and revisit those modules, I always find something within those that helps me on my next deal, you know? And I didn't think that I would be here, you know, but I was able to see from the program and people around it, you know, because once you get into the program, you start, you know, you see, you know, all the other guys, Max and, you know, in Ghana flying planes, and you see all these other guys doing stuff. And, you know, you see, you know, Jamil, you know, because when I first did that, that first deal, the first thing I said to Jamil was, I'm going to buy a Lamborghini. He says, dude, don't be the Lamborghini guy. You know what I mean? And we had a long conversation about, you know.
And then he gave me shit when I bought a Benz.
Yeah, exactly. And a BMW. So, you know,
I bought that for my wife. I've never even driven. Actually, I've driven it once. It's not for me. It was all her.
Yeah. But I mean, it's what really helped me to take that all in is to understand the humility, right? Is to understand that is like, that's part of it, right? Learning the information is one thing, but once you get the information, if you can't help anybody and you can't be humble about what you're able to accomplish, then how much does it really mean? You know? And for me, that was, you know, really, you know, having a good mentor for me was really good. Because before, in the other mentorships that I've been in, I still felt like I was locked outside of really getting to a wealthy place, you know, and because, you know, and most people think wealth is health, but it's, if you can't get to that wealth, that place, like I couldn't buy a home, like the multifamily deals that I'm able to analyze from those other mentorships. I mean, who's going to give me money to buy one, you know? But I can, now that I'm starting to figure out other paths, and I'm looking at, you know, doing creative stuff. Like every offer that I put in, like that's a direct to seller now, it's a seller finance deal too. So I put in both options. So I'm trying to figure out along the you know, that path as well.
Hey,
right?
Curtis, can I ask you a question? See if you'd be up for a fun challenge.
Yeah, challenge. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, you ready for this?
Yep.
Okay, so a lot of people know right now that we're doing this challenge called the Zero to Hero Challenge. Anybody in the audience that's been watching it, put a comment in the side. Basically, I can imagine Brent, Jamil, the most common question they get in their DMs is, how do I get started in real estate? Right? Would you say that's top 3 questions you guys get?
Yep.
How do I get started? How do I get started? How do I get started? Right?
And what's Pace's phone number?
Right. Yeah, right. So it's such a common question that we created a challenge for ourselves. And what we did is we said, we're going to start a brand new real estate business. Why do I say real estate business instead of wholesale? Because I don't think of anything as just wholesale. I think of it as, I just want to be a real estate investor.
Yep.
Yes, I'm going to wholesale a lot. Yes, I'm going to wholesale. I even wholesale creative finance deals, as you see Noah Hoffman and Richard Knowles and a lot of my students in Cali doing. So we wholesale cash deals, we wholesale creative deals, we hold creative deals, we fix and flip, we build new homes, we do all that kind of stuff. We do it all, okay? So we challenge ourselves to start a brand new business in a random market, and we let my creative finance Facebook group determine that market. So we took a series of polls over the course of 6 weeks, and my Facebook group chose North Carolina. So what we did is we said, okay, everybody that's asking, how do I get started, is probably limited with a 9 to 5 schedule. Would you agree to that? Most people starting out are like limited to a 9 to 5 schedule. So we said, we're going to start a business from scratch in North Carolina and stream it live 3 hours a day, which is what I think somebody starting out can truly commit to their business if they really wanted to, right? About 3 hours a day.
Yep.
So day one, it's like, I know that websites are not that important, but we wanted to check it off the list. LLC, how do we start that? Bank account, how do we start that? Okay, how do we start getting our first leads? And by day 4, we had a fully automated business with just 12 hours of work. Okay, and what do I mean by that? Leads are pumping in without us doing anything. And we get our first contract on day 8 in North Carolina. Today is day 11. Okay. So everybody's like, why are you continually going till day 15, which is 3 weeks of the challenge? I go, because we still have 4 more days to go. We're going to lock up 2 or 3 more contracts. Let's go, baby.
Yeah.
So through this, we just had so much fun that we decided we're going to do a season 1 is right now in North Carolina. We're going to do season 2 is going to be a completely different premise. Season 2 is going to be building a business from scratch, not direct to seller, but building it based on a referral-based business only. Okay. So you're not limited to anywhere in the country. What we're going to do is in October, we're going to bring in a couple of sub-2 students in Arizona. If you're down, I would love to have you be I'd love to have you participate in this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we are going to start a business from scratch and show people on 3 to 5 different people are all going to go kind of head to head to see who can start a business based on nothing but referrals, which is the Astroflipping method, right?
Yep.
Jamil, is that what you would base Astroflipping on, is building a real estate business based on a referral-based business?
Yes. I mean, there's definitely greater concepts and more in-depth concepts than that in it. But if you want to distill it down, yes, the referral-based business is the foundation of how we do lead generation.
So Curtis, I would love to, because you're such a shining example of this method, I would love to personally go head to head against you. Yep. This is all you do every day. I would love to go head to head against you for like an hour to 3 hours a day sometime in October. Would you be up for that challenge?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I will buy you a Lamborghini if you beat me.
So now we are talking.
It's going to be a model. It's going to be a model car.
Yeah.
I can't put it on Toro, right?
But what I would love to do is show what we can do is just make it this streamed available to Astro students, sub-2 students, and TTP students, and use it as a community building exercise to have all of us kind of challenged in doing something fun together. Oh, there it is right there. Lambo.
There we go.
Lambo. So,
what's up, ladies? This is what you all want, isn't it? Yeah.
That's
Dude that drives one of these.
By the way, guys, let's just be correct about the model of car.
There you go. So Rhonda Thomas is asking, what is it called? What is that called? And where can we find both of these? So the Zero to Hero Challenge is no longer available to anybody watching it live. We have 1,000 people we let watch it live, and those seats are already booked up. We have 1,000 people watching it, and they have access to the live trainings every single day up until this Friday. Once those trainings are done, we will release the recordings to anybody on a waiting list, and that waiting list is zerotoherorei.com. So if you guys want access to the recordings, go to zerotoherorei.com. So Curtis.
Yes.
Bro, I want people to kick my ass at this. And I think you would completely kick my ass. Would you be up for something fun and a challenge like that?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yes.
And I'd say, what time is it? And you say it's Pace's ass kicking time. That's what it is.
There it goes. No, that would be fun. That absolutely would be fun.
Because, it's fun. Like you went through and you built your entire business, 200 freaking deals in a year, dude. Are you not so proud of, if you could go back a year to today, what would you say to Curtis what would you tell him to focus on or just stay the path? Anything you would have changed?
Yeah, I wasted a lot of time initially. I wish I
tell
could
me, tell me that. What did you waste time on?
I waste. So even though I got that other deal, I like 2 months figuring out that, right? If I could have really started creating some processes in, because in my head, the first 2 months, I was listening to Jamil, but I had one foot saying, man, some of these other dudes driving those Lambos are doing, but I should have just been all, but as soon as I figured that out after that second month, I'm like, dude, I wasted 2 months. I'm all in. And I still, even to this day, I still join the coaching calls twice a week. Right.
It's funny, Pace, Brent, Curtis. One of the things that, and you, Curtis and Brent and Pace, you guys might have this happen as well. But one of the largest things that I deal with new students are having to strip away or break down and have them metabolize some of the things that they've learned from other places. And I'm not here to say that other people are wrong. I'm just saying that in our process, if you're gonna, let's just talk about WMAO, wholesale maximum allowable offer, right? That entire concept has been taught so many different ways, and every different educator's gonna come up with a different number when they offer on a deal.
Yeah.
Some of the biggest resistance that I'll get in the beginning is just having people remove or forget something that they learned so that they can approach doing business in a different way. It's interesting. It's very interesting.
Every day, Jamil. I go through that. Yeah. I mean, it's every day. And, it's really interesting because in all of our programs, we go through these things. We go through each part of the process and how to build up the skills to be successful in this business, because it does come down to a lot of interesting negotiating skills, comping skills, personality styles, communication, all these things, all of these different skills to be able to really do this business on a high level. That's what's so exciting about this business, is you can constantly evolve and improve and do all these things. But yeah, I mean, sometimes, you just have to, start with take all of that knowledge out of the brain and just start taking action. Because I think the process is really the big education, right? The process, going through it all, getting that experience, getting that day to day, getting your hands dirty, really, really pushing it and getting really, those moments when you're thinking to yourself, can I do this? Am I able to do this? What does this feel like? Does this feel like when I was playing sports? Does this feel like when I was learning the piano? Does this learn like different things? Like, what does this feel like right now? And all of that bubbling up is so wildly exciting. Because once you get this down and you do 200 deals in 18 months, your life has changed forever. Your life has changed forever. And you get a free Lambo from Pace when it comes out. I mean,
something that just came when listening to you say that. One of the things that's interesting to me is that in talking to all those people, one of the things that I realized is that 99% of the people who get into wholesaling, it doesn't even make sense to them until they get that ROI. Once they get that first deal done, it's life-changing.
Life-changing.
That's when they say, okay, so I paid, not only did I make an assignment fee, but I paid for my education, right? And now I've learned enough information to go and repeat that, right? And I think that's the point at which most people, once they get that and they get the adrenaline rush from that, I think that's what helps people. Until they get the first deal done, it's a lot of optimism and it's a lot of, am I 1 foot in, or do I trust the process? And that's why, for me, that's why Module 1 in Jamil's program is so great, because it's the one thing that you can always go back to when you have that problem. And I refer people back to it all the time. Hey, this is where you're at. You need to go back and review that module, because once they get that first deal done, it's life-changing. I've had this week, a couple of guys got their first deals, and I was the first phone call they made. Hey, I finally got that assignment fee.
Yep,
that's good.
I think it's really important. There is a distinction between mentorship and coaching. All right, mentorship is like, I want to be like that person. Coaching is, coaches get more out of you. Coaches develop your skills. So you have to decide what you want. You want that have that example of a mentor that's there and kind of gives you the information and gives you, not necessarily the exact steps to do it, but shows you that it can be done and shows you some of the parts of the process. I mean, we get this from books, we get it from podcasts, we get it from YouTube, but or do you want coaching? Do you want somebody there that's going to hold you accountable? Somebody there that's going to help you determine the schedule? Somebody there that's going to show you the steps and show you how to do these things? That's really an important distinction, because I think a lot of people go into mentorships thinking it's coaching, and it's not. And that's where people get disappointed. And when they get disappointed, they stop taking action. And when they stop taking action, all of a sudden they're doing crypto.
Yeah, that's it. That's pretty. I mean, it is. I mean, you could go and learn. You can learn fundamentally. You can go and learn wholesaling on YouTube.
Yeah,
but who's going to hold you accountable? Who's going to help you when you, like, for instance? I mean, I've multiple deals. I mean, 20 grand just into one conversation that Jamil had for 30 minutes on memorandum of contract. Right, I made 20 grand off of that. Right, so. Those things that happen on a weekly basis when you're on the call, yeah, there's tons of people that ask repetitive conversations, but there's always, and that's why I continue to still join the calls, is because there's always that one time when someone will jump on the call and say, hey, Jamil, I ran into this scenario, and I may not have ran into it yet, but after he explains it and I see it, it's easy for me to understand when I see that scenario. I'm like, oh, okay, I know what the solution for that is, and that's one of the reasons why. And not only that, and I also continue to follow a lot of the guys that I talk to on a regular basis to watch them close deals.
Love it. Do you
the
guys
other
mind
thing is, I don't think YouTube is ever going to have a community that you'll ever be able to do deals with.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you get to know, like, I know my students, you get hundreds of people on my Zooms. They all know each other's first names. They get to know each other's spouses' names. They get together. This is a crazy thing. Inside of Sub 2, we have about 30 Zooms a week. I'm only on about 6 of them.
Wow.
The other 24, 25 are ran by my students that are like, hey guys, I'm doing a whole 2 hours right now on just how to underwrite a deal. Let's go through it, do it together. Then they do role playing twice a morning. It's crazy what happens, right? So can you build a community? And can you be part of a community? And Curtis, could you be doing as many deals right now if you didn't have access to students who were also doing deals?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And that's right. The distinction, right? It's like the one thing about all 3 of your mentorships is that the community, and not only just the community, but because it takes a different mindset to say, hey, I'm going to open up everything in my community to Pace's community and his students, or Brent and his community and his students, right? Because that's the problem with a lot of people, is they work in a silo, and that mentality doesn't work anymore, right? If you're not working with somebody, like I would probably be at 3 or 4 deals if I didn't have such a big community of people to work through, right? If I didn't have all the cash buyers that wanted to work with me, if I didn't have people that bring deals. Today, I got 8 direct to seller deals that not one of them do I know the seller, right? So if I don't have that, then where I'm at, right? And I think the community is the answer in regards to
look at this comment, Curtis. Check this out. So Leroy says, after a year of trying to do wholesale, I just got my first deal with a Pace student, a Keegley franchise in Salt Lake, using TTP and Jerry Norton scripts.
I mean,
there it is.
Just smush us all together into like one giant robot, I mean,
that's the best thing. I think that's the best thing I've read so far all year.
I'm gonna take a screenshot and send this to Jerry Norton.
Please do.
Yeah. Hey, Jamil, will you entertain this for a second? I don't know any other way, and maybe you do, to find a deal. Okay, let me just straight to the owner, right? Okay. Number 2, go to somebody that already has the deal and wants to assign it. Okay. Right. Microflip. Number 3, represents the owner. Okay. Agent, attorney, whatever. An aunt, somebody coming to you, whatever. Number 4, pre-foreclosure sale. Number 5, tax lien sale. Is there any other ways?
I mean, there's a host of little niches, in some form of distress, whether it be code violation or some other type of lead gen. But I think you pretty much handled it. Your deals are either going to come from you marketing to specific situations or you marketing to specific individuals.
That's it. I think that is the perfect way to define it. Do you want to go direct to the owner, or do you want to go to the people that already have that relationship with the owner?
Correct. And
you say,
I think they're both good.
Right.
I think that look, Brent, there are some amazing people cold calling, making $100,000 a month, living fantastic, free, abundant lives. And that's amazing. And those same people are working with Astroflipping students to help sell their deals. And the Astroflipping students are making, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month in revenue from the relationships.
Yep.
So the way I see it is that there is no such thing as bad action.
Yeah.
Listen, just in business, the idea is build up your database of people to bring you referrals. That's like the greatest business ever, right? I mean, if you didn't have to do marketing, if you didn't have to do prospecting, but your business kept growing by 10, 20, 50, 100% every year, just by the people that you know, like, and trust you, you keep more money. That's just a fact. If you don't have to spend as much, you keep more.
And here's the thing, right? And I get it. I've done so many ads where I knock stuff. And guys, understand that a lot of the things I do just creatively because I love to joke. But the facts is that Keeg Lee doesn't have a business if it wasn't for wholesalers doing direct mail, wholesalers doing cold calling, wholesalers sending out text campaigns. It doesn't exist without them. It doesn't exist without them. Everybody has a thing that gets them excited, that makes them feel alive, that gives them a sense of purpose. And for some people, that's the chase, the hunt, the kill, the TTP, the getting out there and having conversations with motivated individuals who want to sell their homes. There are some people who love to embody the eloquence of Pace when he's talking to a seller, to be able to get into somebody's mind, solve a problem, and truly bring them across the finish line, to only make them your private lender afterwards. This is the kind of sorcery Pace teaches, right? And you see that, you see all of these things, and to me it's just extremely exciting. It's extremely exciting to see all of these different ways to do the business, all of these different methodologies coming together and finding synergies amongst each other so that we all eat.
Curtis, do you have a YouTube channel yet?
No YouTube channel. It's coming. But my Harvey Prop Group, propgroup.com. You can go to my website.
Awesome.
I'm gonna launch one. I'm launching a brand now. I got to put this up.
Oh yeah.
Wholesaler rule number 1: no pocket watching t-shirt. So just got a trademark. So it's
no pocket watch.
But I had that was
explain that, Curtis, because it's something I talk
because
about.
It says pocket watch in the phrase, and he's got a clock fetish.
No, it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with in dealing
you
with
snuck in the pocket watch, bro.
You mentioned clocks and time 1,400 times in 90 minutes.
You're
okay?
right.
You got a fetish.
It's right, but it's because in dealing with other wholesalers, there is a tendency to of some people to always wonder what someone else is making on a deal, right? And I'm always telling people, hey, dude, don't. If you like, because I did a deal in Atlanta with a guy, and this is crazy, but he has 16 cold callers, he has acquisitions agents, and I did a deal with him, and he told me I only could make a certain amount on the deal. 3 months later, he came to me because he needed a deal for a buyer of his, and I told him, hey, we go 50-50 on the deal. So after that, when he came back, he says, hey, after doing that, I realize how to be able to do these kind of deals and how to do more deals with people, and why people were feeling a specific way about me. And I told him, you can't be pocket watching other people. You can't worry about what someone else is going to make on the deal, right? Because we see that quite often in our transactions. You do a deal and then the buyer said, because he gets the HUD and he gives you a call and say, hey, on the next deal, I don't want you to make X amount of dollars. And you're like, dude, why are you pocket watching what I make? I don't care how much you're making on a deal. So I decided the first rule of wholesaling needed to be a T-shirt that said no pocket watching. So
merch is going to start calling you Father Time.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
Welcome to the No Pocket Watching podcast with Father Time.
There you go. There you go.
So if a wholesaler asks you or somebody asks you the question, this is what I usually say. I'd be curious what you have to say, Curtis. Somebody says, how much are you making? My line, I'm trying to bring in a little bit of Jamil, a little bit of comedy. My line to a wholesaler, if they ask how much we're making, I say, well, I hope we're making at least $1 million. We might make a little bit more. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I say what? I say, wait, what? What'd you ask me? How much am I make? What does that matter?
The folks, yeah.
That. I like that. Curtis, do you have a standard line, or do you just say no pocket watching, bro?
That's what I say. No pocket watching. Don't worry about how much I'm making on the deal. It should matter. It should matter. You know what's interesting is that most of the deals that I do that are the micro flips anyway, most of the people in the markets that I know have seen the HUD, so they know kind of my standard average assignment fee on deals. So the guys that I do business with all the time, they'll see a deal and they say, hey, yeah, I know how much he's going to mark it up. Sometimes they market it at my price before it even goes out because they know, in certain markets, it's $5,000. If I'm in, LA or it's a little bit more, Northern California, it's a little bit more. Cleveland, it's a lot less, right? But, some markets, people know it, but it's always, no pocket watching.
Hey, Curtis, can you read the question that's on the screen real quick?
Yeah, he needs a Flavor Flav clock necklace. I do. I need one that's platinum though.
Oh my God, that's so good. That's so good.
One worth something.
There's a clock there that's got a chain on it, Curtis. You should go put that around your.
No way that fits over his head. No way.
No way it wouldn't fit. I tried that before.
That is so good. Flavor Flav. Guys, we found Flavor Flav and he is on Wholesale Hotline.
There you go. There you go.
Jamil, when is your show this week?
I will be doing Straight Outta Comping on Sunday and Comps 101 on Sunday as well. So if anybody needs any help with comping a deal, reach out. I'm also going to be doing the warm-up pre-show next week for Wholesale Hotline. It'll just be comping. So if you guys want to, get some more reps in, it's all about getting in the reps, guys. Comping isn't fun. Neither is running marathons. Neither is anything that allows for growth. But guess what? You can make it fun. You can, for me, I look at it like it's a puzzle, like it's a game. And I get a satisfaction, probably get a little dopamine hit every time I decide what value a property has.
Yep.
I nerd out on it. I think it's something that if you want to do this business at a high level, you should make it one of your nerd outs as well.
It's funny. I was just talking to someone about that the other day. They reached out to me because they're like, okay, to get to this amount of deals a month, how many deals are you actually comping?
Yeah, good question.
Well, I probably look at about 4,400 deals a month.
Yep.
Right. To get to where I'm at.
Makes sense.
Yep. So
that completely makes sense.
Correct. Because some people, when you ask the question, hey, they're like, well, I'm not getting where I need to be at. And you're like, well, how many deals are you comping? They're like, oh, I comp 3 deals a day. You're like, well, you need to increase that because you need to build that funnel, right? And you need to be comping, a lot of deals.
That's like Brent Daniels expecting big old arms like that by doing 3 push-ups. You know what I'm saying?
It doesn't happen.
That ain't happening.
Minimum. Yeah, each week.
Guys, before you wrap us up, Brent, can I reference this question on the screen?
Yep.
So Chris Voss episode, Samuel Aronov. Great question. I referenced this one time and you've asked about it for the last 2 weeks. I just want to make sure I address it. So inside of my mentorship sub 2, my students, like I mentioned earlier, are absolutely the most active people I've ever met. And I have a student named Daniel Quijano. He runs something called the role-playing competition. And every quarter, what we do is we do a bracket where it's like accountability group against accountability group. Yes, we have accountability groups inside of Sub 2. And it all comes down to the finals once a quarter. And we've had Brent, we've had Jamil, and Steve Trang on there as final judges, where we have people going head to head, one pretending to be the seller, one pretending to be the buyer, and we do a role-playing competition. And it is a tremendous amount of fun. Going back to what Curtis referenced a little bit earlier, community. So we invite the TTP students, we invite the Astro students, and we just build the community. This has gotten enough attention that Chris Voss, the gentleman who wrote Never Split the Difference, has agreed to come into the finals of that role-playing competition at the end of the year. So he's going to do 2021's finals. So that's probably not for another 4, maybe upwards of 5 months. So Samuel, I hope that answers your question. It is not available to anybody unless you are an Astro student, a TTP student, or a Sub 2 student. We do it to build community between our mentorships and have our students doing deals with each other by creating a catalyst of fun and something that helps each other out. So hopefully that answers your question. We will let you know about it as it comes to fruition.
Awesome. Guys, if for any reason we didn't get to your questions, I'd like to invite you to the live show that I put on. Usually it's on Wednesdays, but this week it's going to be actually on Thursday on my YouTube channel, Brent Daniels' YouTube channel, at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. The reason it is on Thursday is because tomorrow night I'm going to the first finals game, Suns versus Bucks. And I'm bringing the family, and it's going to be a great time. So I'm not going to be up early doing the show. But I would love for you to join me on Thursday at 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we'll see you there. Guys, great show. Curtis, unbelievable. I mean, if you don't have 150 to 200 new numbers, how many do you have? What's the total?
119.
Hey! How many people are on still, Pace?
333 people.
Can you put Curtis's phone number back up there and all you 200
Curtis,
folks?
give us that phone number one more time, bro.
949-302-1231.
Guys, give this guy some ding dings. We're either gonna call him Father Clock or Ding Ding.
Curtis works in how many markets?
13. So
13 markets. So and text him to ask what 13, and he'll respond with a list of the. Curtis, I want you to respond to everybody who texts you with the 13 markets that you have disposition services available in, so that they know when they have an opportunity who to call.
Absolutely.
So guys, there should be another 200 ding dongs.
Yeah, well, they're coming in now.
People are thinking there's more dings. No, there was a lot. That was good. But get them more. Pump up those numbers. All right. Anything else? Jamil, you want to take us out? I love you guys. Jamil, you want to close it out?
You're the king, Brent.
You're the king.
I saw that our pre-foreclosure mastery YouTube hit like 55,000 views, bro. That thing is crushing still a year later.
As soon as you're done, whatever, having 15 cameras around you at all times, filming the greatest real estate investing show of all time.
It'll be the funniest one.
Down in the history books.
It'll be the funniest one. Jamil is the star of the show. Here's the thing, Brent. I can't wait to be done with the filming of that show because I want to be a guest on your Wednesday live.
I'm ready. I am ready.
Some of the best content out there.
This week is Thursday. This week, guys, is Thursday, 10 o'clock. All right. I just want everybody to know.
Sons and Six.
Yep.
Sons and Six family. Wholesale Hotline viewers, we just want to thank you guys again for always tuning in, supporting, and being a part of this amazing community. Wholesale Hotline is not just about Astroflipping. It's not just about TTP. It's not just about Sub 2. It is about you. It is about what you want to do with your financial futures, how you see real estate being a part of the transformation of your current financial situation. And even if it's not real estate, what we want to impart is understanding that we are all just walking each other home.
Yep.
Every one of us is here to add value to your lives. Every one of us is here because we care about what's happening in your specific situation. If real estate is something that brings you to community, amazing, amazing. If real estate is something that allows you to see inside yourself in a deeper way, amazing. How incredible. But if real estate is also how you feed the family, then do yourself a favor and tune in again next Monday. We will see you. Wholesale Hotline number 72. Thank you, Curtis Harvey. Good night.
Yeah.
Or just say squat up.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
1, 2, 3. So squat up and enjoy the show.
What are you doing?
I didn't say nothing.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay.
So squat up and enjoy the show.